Hello everyone, this is Professor Mahesh Pardeshi from Parvatibai Genba Mose College of Engineering, Wagholi, Pune. In today's session, we are discussing the connections. Different types of connections are there in case of steel structures, and today we are discussing the different types of connections. See, connections is one of the important aspect of steel structures in the joining of various members of structure so that they act as an integral unit, means the connection and the original members, they act as a internal units. The design of connections is very important because the failure of the joint is sudden and catastrophic. The failure of the joint is sudden in case of the failure. Okay, so here the different types of connections are riveted connections, bolted connections, welded connections. There are three types of connections are there. Okay, so we will discuss one by one. This is first one is riveted connections. A rivet is a ductile metal pin with manufactured head at one end and the straight portion known as shank. Here in this diagram you can see that this is rivet, and this is the head portion, and this is the shank portion. In this diagram you also see this is the head and this is the shank portion. Okay, so riveting is a process of the driving of the rivets into the hole made in the metal parts so that the metal parts are inseparable. The metal parts are inseparable. The size of rivet hole is kept slightly more than the size of the rivet. That is slightly more means just 1.5 or 2 mm more than the size of the rivet. Okay, suppose we have to driven this rivet having diameter 18 mm. So to driven that rivet we have to make a hole of 20 mm. We have to make a hole of 20 mm so that we can insert that 18 mm rivet. Okay, the rivet is heated uniformly in a furnace so that it becomes red hot. Then it is inserted into the holes drilled in the metal part. This is actually the process of the riveting. I will explain. Okay, the process of riveting. The projected portion of the red hot shank is then hammered. Means this opposite end. First of all, we will insert that rivet into metal part, and after that this end is hammered. This end is hammered. Okay, so and it results into expansion of the rivet, then the desired shape given to the head on cooling. On cooling, the rivet contracts in a length so that the plate firmly in contact firmly in contact. Normally the rivets are driven by the pneumatic process in the workshop. This is all about the process of riveting. Now, next is the advantages of riveted connection. See the various advantages. First is the ease of the riveting process. Means what? The process is very easy. The process of riveting is easy. Second, rivet connection is permanent in nature. Rivet connection is permanent in nature. There is no need to modify it afterwards. Okay, it is permanent. Cheaper fabrication cost, means the cost of the fabrication is less as compared to other two connections. Low maintenance cost. Okay, the maintenance cost is low. Dissimilar metals can also be joined. Even non-metallic joints are possible with the riveted joints. Here we can join two different materials, like we can join steel with the wood. Okay, this type of connection is also possible in case of this riveted connection. This is not possible in case of the welding connection. For welding connection, the two metals should be similar. The two metals should be similar in case of welded connection. Now next one is riveted connection is possible without electricity in the remote area. See, this is the advantage. If there is no electricity, we can go for it, riveted connection, no problem. But in case of the welded connection, we must require the electricity. These are all about the advantages of riveted connection. Now next is the disadvantages of riveted connection. Disadvantages of riveted connection. See, first one, necessity of preheating the rivet prior to driving. Necessity of preheating. See, this is the process of riveting. First is we have to heat that metal pin. We have to heat the metal pin. This is the disadvantages of this connection. In other cases, we do not go for heating in case of bolted connection. Okay, so this is the disadvantages of riveted connection. Next is the high level of noise, because we have to hammer that shank portion. Due to hammering, there is a large amount of the noise is created. Okay, so this is the advantages of this riveted connection. Next is skilled work necessary for inspection of connection. For inspection, we have to see that the shank portion is properly molded or not. This we have to take the precaution of that part. Okay, that's why the skilled work is necessary. Next disadvantage is cost involved in the careful inspection and the removal of poorly installed rivets. If some cases the other end, that is shank portion, is not properly hammered, and due to that improper hammering, the other end is not rounded like the head portion. In that case, we have to remove that rivet and replaced with the other fresh rivet. Okay, that cost we have to involved in case of this riveted connection, and this is the drawback of this riveted connection. Next is the labor cost is high, because the process involves high labor. Large amount of labors are required for the process. That's why the labor cost is high, and this is another disadvantage of this riveted connection. So this is all about the riveted connection process, advantages and disadvantages. Now we will discuss the next connection, that is bolted connection. That is bolted connection. Okay, see the definition. A bolt may be defined as the metal pin with head at the one end and shank threaded at the other end to receive a nut. Here you can see that this is the head portion. This is similar to rivet actually. Actually, this bolt is similar to rivet, but here one additional material part is there, and that is called as nut. That is called as nut. There is no need to hammer that shank portion. There is no need to hammer the shank portion in case of this bolted connection. Okay, this is the difference between the bolted and riveted connection. Here you can see that bolt is defined as the metal pin with head at the one end and shank threaded at the other end to receive a nut. The shank portion is threaded. Why? To receive the nut. This portion is threaded to receive a nut. Already you people are seeing this many times, bolted and bolt and nut. Okay, see the various parts here. This is the head of the bolt. This is the head of the bolt. Now this is the radius, actually this part. Okay, this part, radius. This is the shank portion. This is the shank portion. This one is the grip length. This one is the grip length. This one is the normal length, overall length. Okay, this is the overall length or normal length, and this is the threaded length. This portion is the threaded length. Okay, and this is a run out, means the starting point of the threads. Okay, this is run out, and this is nut. Okay, and these are the threads. These are the various parts of the nut and bolt system or bolted connection. Okay, now you can see with the figure here. You can see that this nut and bolt connection. Okay, bolted connection, you can see that here at this end they are providing the nuts. Okay, and the other end there are the head portion of the bolt. Okay, this is all about the bolted connection. Now we will see the advantages and disadvantages of bolted connection. So first is the advantages of bolted connection. Okay, there are large number of advantage of this bolted connection. See one by one. Here first is the bolting operation is much faster. Bolting operation is much faster. Okay, the process is faster because no need to hammer that bolt. Large manpower is required for hammering. Large number of time is required for hammering. So this connection, that is bolted connection, does not require that hammering. That's why it is here the time required for the connection is very less as compared to riveted connection. Okay, this is the advantages of this bolted connection. Second is the less manpower. Already I told you, less hammering, less operations, less manpower. Okay, next is high strength bolts are much stronger than rivets. High strength bolts. Okay, every connections we are using high strength bolts, and these high strength bolts having stronger than the rivets. Okay, hence bolted connection needs less fasteners than the riveted cables. Less fasteners. Instead of 4 rivets, we are just using 2 bolts. Okay, less numbers of fasteners are required in case of bolted connection. The next advantage is bolting operation is very silent in contrast to the hammering noise in the riveting. Or just we have to fit the nut. Okay, that's why no need of hammering and no need of voice noise. Okay, next is the bolting is the cold process, no risk of fire. In case of the rivet, the first process is heating. Okay, and for that heating, fire is required. So there is a risk of fire in case of riveted connection. But here, in case of the bolted connection, it is a cold process, so no risk of fire. This is the advantage of bolted connection. Next is bolt can be removed, replaced, and retightened easily in the event of faulty bolting or damaged bolts due to the accidents and hazards. Here we can easily remove, replaced, and retighten the bolts. But in case of the rivets, we have to replace. We cannot remove or we cannot retighten again. Okay, this is the disadvantage of that riveted connection. Okay, and here this is the advantage of the bolted connection. Okay, next is expansion and alteration can be easily done because we have to remove the nut, we have to remove the connection, and we have to expand. Okay, so this is the advantage of bolted connection. Next is working area required in the field is less. Working area required is less because no need of heating, no need of heating machinery, no need of extra hammering is there. So no need of extra working space for the bolted connection. Okay, this is the advantage of this bolted connection. Now next is the disadvantages of bolted connection. Disadvantages of bolted connection. Here first is bolted connections have lesser strength in axial tension as the net area at the root of the threads is less. Here you can see that the net area at the root of the thread is less because we have to do the threading. We have to do the threading to receive the nut. That's why at that point the area is less than the actual area at the thread at the shank portion. At the shank portion you can see that the area is more. You can see by using this diagram. Here you can see that this is the shank portion. At this shank portion the area is more, and at this part due to the threads the area gets reduced. The area gets reduced. Now here you can see that bolted connection have lesser strength in axial tension as the net area at the root of the thread is less. Okay, this is the advantage of bolted connection. Under vibratory loads, the strength is reduced if the connection is not get loosened. If the connection is loosened due to the vibratory loads, the strength may reduce. The strength may reduce. This is the disadvantage of the bolted connection. This may not happen in case of the riveted connection. The joints are permanent, okay, in case of riveted connection. Third is unfinished bolts have lesser strength because of non-uniform diameter. If the diameter is not uniform, then obviously we will get the reduced strength. Okay, this is the disadvantage. Next is cost of the material is high, about double that of the rivet, because additional cost for threading is required, additional cost for nut is required. Okay, that's why this process of connection is costly than the riveting. And next is the architectural look. It does not give the good appearance. Bolted connection does not give the good appearance. Okay, this is the disadvantage of this bolted connection. Now we will see different terminologies which are used in case of bolted connections. In this diagram you can see that the first plate is this one. I am showing you, this one is the first plate. Okay, this one is the upper plate, this one is the upper plate, you can see that this portion. Okay, and second plate is the lower plate. You can see this is starting from this point up to this dotted line, up to this dotted line, this one, this is the lower plate, this is the lower plate, and this is the lap joint. Actually this is the lap joint starting from this point to this point, this point to this point, this is actually the lap joint. Okay, and the force is applied here and here, here. Okay, and the different terms are here, pitch, here pitch. Okay, we'll see the definition in the next slide. Pitch, here we are denoting pitch along the length of the along the force, direction of the force. Distance between the two bolts along the direction of the force is called as pitch. Okay, here gauge, along the direction, no, here perpendicular to the direction of the force. Distance between two bolts perpendicular to the direction of the force is called as gauge distance. Now here end distance, end distance, distance between the end of the plate and the last bolt, distance between the last bolt up to the end of the plate along the direction of the force is called as end distance, is called as end distance. And here edge distance, distance from the last bolt to the edge of the plate to the end of the plate perpendicular to the direction of the force, perpendicular to the direction of the force is called as edge distance. Okay, these are the basic terms. We will see the definition one by one. Here you can see that first definition, pitch. Pitch is the center to center distance of the adjacent rivets or bolt holes measured in the direction of stress or force. Measured in the direction, this word is important, measured in the direction of stress. Okay, here minimum pitch is equal to 2.5 times the diameter of the bolt. 2.5 times the diameter of the bolt. It is given in the clause number 10.2.2. See in your IS code, whole chapter for the connection is given in IS chapter number 10. Chapter number 10, page number 73. You have to go for chapter number 10, IS 800 2007, IS 800 2007, chapter number 10 and page number 73. Okay, various clauses are given at this one. See, minimum pitch. Minimum pitch is 2.5 times the diameter of bolt. Okay, to prevent the bearing failure between the two bolts, the sufficient space to tighten the bolts. Means these two are the reasons. These two are the reasons why we have to provide at least 2.5 times the diameter as a pitch. For these two reasons, to prevent the bearing failure and to provide the additional sufficient space to tighten the bolts. This is the criteria or reasons for the minimum pitch. Next is the maximum pitch. Next is the maximum pitch. It is desirable to place the bolt sufficiently close. Okay, see the clause number 10.2.3, 10.2.3, page number 74. 4. Okay, to reduce the length of the connection and the gusset plate. Why we have to go for this sufficiently closed? Because the length of the gusset plate is reduced. Okay, to have the uniform stresses, to have the uniform stresses. For these two reasons we have to place the bolt sufficiently closed. Okay, now this maximum pitch should be less than 16 times the thickness of the thinner plate. This small t is nothing but the thickness of the thinner plate. This p should be less than 16 times the thickness of the thinner plate, or 200 mm in case of tension. In case of tension. And this maximum pitch is less than 12 times the thickness of thinner plate, or 200 mm in 200 mm in case of compression. In case of compression, these 2 points are also given in the IS code. Okay, clause number 10.2.3, these values are given in the IS code. Now next is gauge distance. Next is the gauge distance. Okay, a row of the rivets or bolts which is parallel to the direction of the stress, parallel to the direction of the stress, is called as gauge line, is called as gauge line. And the normal distance between the two adjacent gauge line is called as gauge distance. The normal distance between the two adjacent gauge lines is called as gauge distance. Here you can see that in this diagram. Line parallel to the direction of the force or stress. This is the direction of stress, and these are the lines. These are the lines which are parallel to the direction of force. These are the lines which are parallel to the direction of the force, and these lines 1, 2, and 3. These lines are called as gauge lines. These lines are called as gauge lines, and the distance between these two gauge lines, distance between these two gauge lines is called as gauge distance, is called as gauge distance. Okay, the maximum gauge distance is equal to 32 t, that is the 32 times thickness of the thinner plate, or 300 mm, whichever is less, whichever is less. Okay, now next is the edge distance. I have already explained you the distance between the edge of a member, edge of a member or cover plate from the center of the nearest rivet or bolt hole, from the center of the nearest rivet or bolt hole. Here you have to go for this edge, you have to go for edge, and the minimum edge distance is 1.5 times the diameter. Minimum edge distance is 1.5 times the diameter. Next, it is actually the uh, minimum clearance required for the holes, and it is given in the IS code. See the difference between nominal diameter and the gross diameter. Okay, here nominal diameter is the diameter of the shank of the rivet, diameter of the shank of the rivet. For the bolts, for the bolts, the diameter of the unthreaded portion of the shank, unthreaded portion, unthreaded portion of the shank is called as the nominal diameter. What is the gross diameter? The diameter of the rivet hole or the bolt hole is called as gross diameter. It is, here we have to go for holes. In case of the gross diameters we have to go for the holes, but here in case of the nominal diameter it is actually the diameter of the shank of the rivet. It is actually the diameter of shank of the rivet or shank of the bolt. Okay, in case of the nominal diameter. And this table is given in the IS code table number 19. Table number 19, clearance of the fastener holes. It is given on page number 73. It is given on IS 800 2007, table number 19, page number 73. It is given on the page number 73. Here the different diameters are given, and here the clearance is given. What clearance we have to use. Okay. Now next is the type of joints. Next point is the type of joints. Here basically in these diagrams you can see that the two members are connected either this way lap joint or either this way butt joint. Okay, we'll discuss first, that is lap joint. First joint is the lap joint. The two members are connected, two members are connected, are to be overlapped. The members to be connected are overlapped. Here you can see that in first diagram. These two members are lapped over each other. Lap over each other. One member is lapped over the other and the connection is made. That connection is called as lap joint. That connection is called as lap joint. Okay. Now we will discuss this lap. Lap joint is the simplest type of the joint. The two members are to be connected, are overlapped and connected together. Okay, connected together. Such a joint is called as lap joint. The load in the lap joint has eccentricity as center of the gravity of the load in one member and the center of the gravity of the load in the second member are not in the same line. Okay, the CG of all the two plates or two members are not along the same line. Okay, for single lane, double lane, chain bolting, zigzag bolting can be provided over the lap. Means over this part, that is this lap, this is the single line lap joint. This is the single line lap joint. If there are two lines of bolts, here one bolt and here one bolt. If there are two lines of bolt, then we can say that double line. Then we can say that double line. Okay. Due to eccentricity, the stresses are distributed. Due to eccentricity, the stresses are distributed unevenly across the contact area between the rivets and the members to be connected. Okay, this puts a limitation on the use of lap joint. This is the limitation of the lap joint. What is the limitation? The load is not distributed properly. Okay, the CGs are not matching, CGs are not along the same line. Okay, this is the disadvantage. Now second joint is the butt joint. Okay, two members to be connected are placed end to end, are placed end to end. This member is placed end to end to the this member. Okay, face to face here, end to end, and additional plates provided either sides, provided on the either side. Here you can see that this is the plate provided to join these two plates. This additional plate is provided to join these two plates. Okay, here the plate is provided on the one side, that's why it is called as single cover butt joint. Here the cover plate is provided only on one side, therefore it is called as single cover butt joint. If the plate is provided on both the sides, here also both the sides, then it is called as double cover butt joint. Double cover butt joint. See here, the two members to be connected are placed end to end. Two members are connected, placed end to end. Okay. Now there are two types of butt joints we already discussed, that is the single cover butt joint and double cover butt joint. See, in the case of the double cover butt joint, the total shear force is to be transmitted by the member is split into two parts, and the shear force acts on each half. Okay, here you can see that if the cover plate is provided on both parts, here also and here also, then the total shear is divided into two parts. Half shear is taken by this plate and half shear is taken by this part. Okay. This is all about the type of joint, that is the lap joint and the butt joint. Now we will discuss the design capacities of the bolted connection. Design capacity of the bolted connection. Here Here you can see that design capacity of the bolted connection. For this, first of all of you open your IS codes. All of you open your IS codes, page number 75, page number 75, and see clause number 10.3.3. For the design capacity of the bolted joint, first capacity, shear capacity of the bolt. For that, all of you must open your IS codes, page number 75, and see the clause number 10.3.3. Okay, the title is shear capacity of bolt. Shear capacity of bolt. The design strength of the bolt, the design strength of the bolt, VDSB, as governed shear strength is given by VDSB. VDSB is equal to VNSB divided by gamma MB. VNSB divided by gamma NB. And this VNSB can be calculated by using this formula. VNSB is equal to nominal shear capacity of the bolt. Nominal shear capacity of the bolt. And this is the design capacity. When we divide by the gamma MB, we will get the design capacity. And here VNSB is the nominal capacity. Okay. VNSB is equal to FU divided by root 3. VNSB is equal to FU divided by root 3 into bracket NN into ANB, NN into ANB plus NS into ASB plus NS into ASB. All these terms are given below. Here you can see that FU is equal to ultimate tensile strength of the bolt. FU is equal to ultimate tensile strength of the bolt. NN is equal to number of shear planes with thread portion intercepting the shear plane. With thread portion intercepting the shear plane means what? The shear plane passes through the threaded portion. Shear plane passes through the threaded portion. Here NS is equal to number of shear planes without threads intercepting the shear planes. Means actually NS is nothing but the shear plane plus shear plane passing through the shank, passing through the shank. Okay, in case of the single cover butt joint, this NS is equal to 1 and NN is equal to 0. In case of the single cover butt joint, this NS is equal to 1 and NN is equal to 0. But in case of the double cover butt joint, NS is also 1 and NN is also 1. Okay, this ASB is equal to nominal plane shank area of the bolt. Nominal plane shank area means at the top part, not at the threaded portion. Okay, it is at the top where the whole diameter is available. Okay, this is ASB. Okay, and ANB is equal to net shear area of the bolt at the threads. Net shear area of the bolt at the threads may be taken as the area corresponding to the root diameter of the thread, means area at the thread portion. A and B is equal to area at the thread portion, and generally we are taking 0.78 times the nominal shank area. We have to if we have to find this A and B, just multiply by 0.78 to this ASB, we will get the value of A and B, because it is the area at the root diameter. At the root diameter, the area diameter gets reduced, therefore area is also reduced, and its value is 0.78 times the ASB. Okay, this is all about the shear capacity of bolt. Now next is the bearing capacity of bolt. It is also given on the same page. You have to go for same page number 75, clause number 10.3.4. Clause number 10.3.4. The design bearing capacity, the design bearing strength of the bolt on a plate VDPB as governed by the bearing is given by, here you can see that VDPB is equal to V and PB divided by gamma MB. V and PB divided by gamma MB. Here you can see the value of gamma MB is 1.25. Gamma MB is 1.25. In earlier case, in case of the shear also, here in case of the shear also, the value of gamma MB is 1.25. Okay. Now here V and PB is equal to nominal bearing strength of the bolt. Here the nominal, and here this one is the design. Okay. 2.5 kb into d into t into fu. So kb we have to find out. Kb is equal to smaller of, kb is equal to smaller of e divided by 3d0, e divided by 3d0, comma p divided by 3d0 minus 0.25, p divided by 3d0 minus 0.25, third fub divided by fu, third fub divided by fu, and last one is 1. Last one is 1. So value of kb is smaller of these four values. The value of kb is smaller of these four values. Okay, now here different terms are e and p are end and pitch distances of the fasteners along the bearing direction. Along the bearing direction, e and p are the end distance and the pitch distance. Okay, d0 is nothing but the diameter of the hole. Diameter of the hole, this is nothing but the gross diameter. This is nothing but the gross diameter including clearance. Okay, now fub and fu are the ultimate tensile stress of the bolt, ultimate tensile stress of the bolt, and the ultimate tensile stress of the plate, ultimate tensile stress of the bolt and ultimate tensile stress of the plate respectively. Now here d is equal to nominal diameter of the bolt, that is the actual diameter of the bolt. Okay, now last is the t, small t. Here last is the small t. Summation of thicknesses of the connected plates experiencing the bearing stresses in the same direction, or if the bolts are countersunk, the thickness of the plate minus one half the depth of the countersunk. This you can understand while solving the problem in better way. This you can understand properly in better way while solving the problem, how to take that thickness. Okay, this is all about the bearing capacity of bolt. Now next is the tension capacity. Now next is the tension capacity. For that you have to go to page number 76, is 800 2007, page number 76, and clause number 10.3.5, clause number 10.3.5, tension capacity. Okay, a bolt subjected to the factored tensile force tb shall satisfied, tb should be less than tdb, tdb, that tb tension in the bolt should be less than tdb, that is the design tension. tdb is equal to tnb divided by gamma mb. Here the gamma mb is 1.25. tdb is equal to tnb divided by gamma mb. This tnb is the nominal tensile capacity of the bolt. tnb is the nominal tensile capacity of the bolt, and it is calculated as 0.9 fub into an, 0.9 fub into an. This tnb can be calculated as 0.9 fub into an, but this value should be less than, this value should be less than fub into asb into gamma mb divided by gamma mo, gamma mb divided by gamma mo, where this fub is equal to ultimate tensile stress of the bolt, this fub is equal to ultimate tensile stress of the bolt, this fyb is equal to yield stress of the bolt, yield stress of the bolt. All the values are given to us, or we can find out by using the is. Okay, here an is the net tensile stress area as specified in the appropriate Indian standards. Net tensile stress area as specified in the appropriate Indian standards for bolts where the tensile stress area is not defined, AN shall be taken as the area of the bottom of the threads. Area of the bottom of the threads, that is AN is equal to 0.78 times this AS, the area at shank. This is ASB, actually area at the shank portion. This is the shank area of the bolt, and this AN should be 0.78 times this area of the shank. This AN should be 0.78 times this area of the shank of the bolt. This is all about the tension capacity of the bolt. Okay, we will discuss these three capacities. First is the shear capacity of the bolt, second is the bearing capacity of the bolt, and third is the tension capacity of the bolt. So we are all discussing about this bolted connection. Now you can easily handle with this bolted connection. While solving any problem, while solving any connections, we have to design the bolted connection. Okay, this is all about the bolted connection. Thank you.